The death of a game. What is this all about? Before I watch it, right? Before I, specifically watch it, we gotta save it, in order to take a look at this. What do you mean the death of a game? I know this
In
game.
2014,
So this game is Dauntless, if I remember correctly, right? So Dauntless Steam launch is going super well. It's super negative. Jesus Christ, what's happening with Dauntless? Because I remember Dauntless was on console originally, like a super long time ago. I played it for like a little bit, but not a whole lot though. I don't know. It's just something about it. I just didn't like it very well. It could be because they didn't had any. I don't know if it had any range weapons. Actually, I can't really think of off the top of my head if it had range weapons or not. King got a question for you. Wanted some waited some water cooling PC. How does on water cool their PC with water on water? God damn it,
a
dude.
video
King
game
King
studio
forever. Your name has been disgraced or so as water on water now.
was established by the name of Phoenix Labs. It was headed up by Jesse Houston, Sean Bender, and Robert May. 3 former Riot Games employees setting out for greener pastures because I can only imagine
Really, was it
creating a
actually
game like
fun?
League of Legends must be a pretty taxing experience. This studio would go on to produce Dauntless, a game that takes heavy inspiration from Monster Hunter but runs its own race with a more cartoony art style and MMO mechanics. And another game that I admittedly don't know a whole lot about, known as Fae Farm, which is a classic farming sim cozy game with fantasy
Oh,
elements.
okay.
Whilst not being quite as good, Dauntless offers a competitor to Monster Hunter in a free-to-play market. Or I guess I should say that it did. A recent update that was poised to be the relaunch and major comeback for Dauntless has proved to be a pretty miserable experience for just about every player involved, with most of them referring to it as the death of the game. And this
Really? So what did this update do specifically that killed it? Did it like do a lot of bad monetization for it?
This is made even worse when you consider that this is the same game studio that cancelled a promising upcoming game by the name of Project Dragon or Everhaven weeks before it was set to hit early access. What is going
Oh, that's interesting.
on at Phoenix Labs? I don't usually get this interested in industry stuff, but there was something about this situation that really hooked me, so I had to take.
You want to know something too, chat? Speaking of industry, right? A little bit sidetrack right here, real quick, but it's still kind of like the same thing though. Somebody commented in my video for I think it was the Game Awards one, and they literally said, as someone who is in the game industry or whatever, you sure are ignorant. And I'm like, I never said I was part of the industry. I said I have friends that are in the industry, but they tell me some stuff here and there from time to time about the game industry, you know? So I'm just kind of like, I'm not part of the industry. I never said I was a part of the industry itself. I have friends who are part of the industry, and well, Lord to behold, it is what it is.
Take a deeper look. It is absolutely no secret that the gaming industry is in pretty dire straits. Studios open and close like it's going out of fashion, layoffs are a weekly occurrence, developer acquisitions are driving everything towards one big monopoly, people are overworked and underpaid, and there is AAA schlop shoveled onto store shelves every other day. It's a bit of a bummer and many are affected, so why am I focusing specifically on Phoenix Labs? It's pretty simple really. I like Dauntless. I think the competition for Monster Hunter is a good thing, even when it doesn't quite hit the same level of popularity. I also loved what I saw for Project Dragon, and I, along with just about everyone else online, am just baffled that a game that shows so much promise was destroyed when it was so close to being released. Let's get a little bit of back.
Wait, so they were basically like pretty much almost basically done for early access and then they just killed it off? I'm kind of curious why. What's the reason for it?
Background on Dauntless first. It was revealed during the Game Awards in 2016 with a trailer showing off some good old-fashioned 4-person monster hunting. No game.
Yeah, I remember 2016. Man, that's a long ass fucking time. Damn, this game has been alive for that long? That's crazy.
Played just yet, but we got a good feel for what to expect with 4 different characters wielding 4 different weapons, wearing 4 different sets of armor, facing down some shadowy owl-like creature. It got the point across and it grabbed people's attention. It was a co-op monster-slaying MMO drawing heavy inspiration from the likes of Monster Hunter, Dark Souls, and World of Warcraft, with a cartoony art style to ensure it had longevity and would age well. A pretty solid foundation,
That's true.
I think.
I can see, yeah, because the graphics itself would age, because it's a live service game, right? And you want an art style that can last a really long time. It can age like fine wine as well. So going for the cartoony style, I don't really hate on it. It's not like for me when I played it or so, the art style like took me away. I think it was something else specifically that kind of turned me off. I don't remember what it was because it's been forever since I played this game.
Dauntless would go on to launch its alpha in 2017, followed by its beta in 2018, and its full release in September of 2019. A release schedule that you may notice overlaps pretty heavily with Monster Hunter World, the most popular Monster Hunter game of all time. This no doubt had some negative impact on Dauntless's numbers, but Phoenix Labs, being made up of a lot of Monster Hunter fans themselves, persisted and they enjoyed some solid success, with millions of unique players trying the game out. It would go on to receive somewhat regular updates for about 3 years, adding new weapons and monsters as it went, before basically going unchanged beyond seasonal events until Dauntless Awakening launched in December of 2024. So where exactly does the controversy lie? Monetization in gaming is a pretty sore point for a lot of players. We're at a point where every system feels like a way to extract more money from us, with some of the worst offenders even putting those microtransactions on games that already cost like $100 to buy in the first place. Dauntless, however, is a free-to-play game, and like most other free-to-play games, it needs a way to remain profitable so that the devs can continue to produce content. In its original state, Dauntless was set to launch with loot boxes. However, after feedback, these were removed, with Jesse Houston stating at the time that they wanted players to be able to achieve rare weapons and equipment through skill and not through having a deep wallet. Keep that one in mind. Monetization options would then be adapted into purchasable equipment that is purely cosmetic, along with the battle pass, which is pretty common and low impact stuff by today's standards.
Yeah, to be honest, battle pass is like a common thing or so in free to play games.
Something clearly changed when Houston left the company in 2023, though, with the release of the Awakening update.
So he left the company. Yep, there it is. Okay, so he left the company, and it probably wasn't a good way for him to leave. He did not probably like any of the decisions that they were making or so for Dauntless. So instead, he decided to leave, and that's that.
Let's take a look at that. Dauntless Awakening was poised to be the relaunch of the game as it became available on the Steam store after years of being an Epic exclusive. From my point of view, I had only thought a few days prior that
Really, it was only an Epic exclusive? Granted, I don't really remember, though. That's why
I should give Dauntless another go as I waited for Monster Hunter Wilds to come out. So seeing it on the Steam store was quite the surprise, along with the wave of negative reviews.
Overwhelmingly negative. Oh, yikes. That is, that's not good.
That it already had. That's actually what started me down this rabbit hole that led into making this video. Looking through those reviews and the Dauntless Reddit, the situation seemed pretty dire, with few having much positive to say. Still, I thought to myself I might as well give the game a few hours to see what all the fuss was about. It had been a while since I'd touched Dauntless, and yet as I loaded in, I noticed straight away that the weapon on my character's back was absolutely not my weapon of choice, and I was about to find out why. The game forces you to do this tutorial that just has a lot of issues and makes for a pretty bad first impression. It talks to you and treats you as a first-time player, something that even I found pretty demeaning, and I've probably got like 30 hours total in the game, so I imagine that was pretty off-putting for those that have put thousands of hours in. It talks about Ramsgate, which is the main hub, like you don't know what that is, despite the fact that you load into it at the start before you even touch the tutorial. And it turns around and it asks you to do these attacks with the left trigger, well, left trigger on the controller, I don't know what the button is on keyboard, which you can't actually do because it hasn't taught you about weapon changing yet and told you how to equip another weapon. So the left trigger doesn't do anything. Anyway, the rework to the weapons seems to be the biggest gripe for people, and I can absolutely see why. They essentially completely removed weapon crafting entirely, deleted.
Oh. how do you get weapons then if you can't craft them? Do you just get them from the battle pass?
Any weapons you previously had and gave you one of each weapon type. Deleted weapon crafting. In a game all about slaying monsters and getting their materials and making equipment out of their materials. What? To make matters worse, it seems like each weapon has one element. So there's an ice sword and a nature pike and a fire axe and so on and so forth. Meaning that if you need fire to take down a monster, but you don't like how the axe feels to play, well, too bad. You either don't get the elemental advantage, or you have to use the axe, which you don't like playing. What an...
Wow. That's actually crazy. Oh, that's such a so it's basically equivalent to like you basically have 4 different weapon types, right? 4 different archetype weapons, right? In Monster Hunter, right? But each one has a specific element, right? Let's say for example, the long sword has ice, the great sword has fire, the lance has lightning, and then the charge blade has water, for example, right? So then like and then the monster is weak to fire, right? You have to play a great sword, but if you don't like the playstyle of the great sword, well then tough luck, buttercups, you're just gonna have to suck it up or use a different weapon, you know? Get that in Monster Hunter Wilds so Shako can use a different. Shut the fuck up.
asinine decision. What a crazy design decision that is. It's entirely possible that there's something I'm missing with this, but that's how it felt to me. That's how it reads in game. The monetization ties into this as well, because if you do actually want weapons with different elements, you gotta buy them with real money. How in the world did they think that that was a good idea?
Oh shit, dude. Oh, that fucking sucks. So in order for you to get any elemental weapons, you have to buy them. As someone who masters all 14 weapon types in Monster, this sounds like a skill issue. Shut the fuck up.
Well, I know how, but we'll get to that later in the video. The monetization sucks. They added loot boxes back to the game, they made it pay to win because you can buy weapons, as in actual weapons and not just cosmetic transmogs.
Oh yeah, that is 100% how to kill a game. Wow, they brought back the loot boxes back in the early 2000s. Damn, dude. So they brought loot boxes. You have to buy elemental weapons. Let me guess. I assume there's cosmetics too on top of that, and I assume there's a battle pass in here. Just taking a guess.
And you can buy the weapon upgrading material, and also you can pay to skip some of the quests.
You can... Oh man, this is definitely... Oh my god, the pay to win is massive in this game. So you can pay to skip quests and like pay for upgrade materials for your weapons without you actually going to... At that point, why even play the game? Just fucking spend money and then you'll get to max gear and everything.
What are they doing? God, it's just so upsetting, even for me, and I'm not that invested in the game. Other things also suck. The new decoration style mechanic results in them breaking if you remove them. All the armor has the same defense when you first make it, no matter what monster it's from. Weapons upgrade with use, meaning that to try a new weapon, you need to go back and grind out the beginner monsters or pay for them to be upgraded. The quest progression system also doesn't seem to be any clearer than the last time I played, despite the fact that that was supposed to be one of the core reasons for overhauling everything in the first place. Everyone has to start again, whether you've spent 30 hours or 3,000 hours, completely robbing players of any agency whatsoever to explore all this new content on their own.
Ooh. Damn, so this was supposed to be a competitor to Monster Hunter? So far, they kind of murdered their own self, you know?
Moment-to-moment gameplay when you're out and about fighting things is still the same though. Feels the same to me at least, if not a bit buggier, which I think comes with a engine change of some kind. So I didn't mind the actual playing of the game, but all the other little bits and pieces really left a pretty rotten taste in my mouth. It also doesn't help that the team just seems to have their head in the sand, ignoring the storm and either trying to ride it out or accepting that the game is done and letting it breathe its last whilst trying to just get every little bit of money that they can before it goes offline.
Okay, now I'm curious. What's the player base for this now? See, let's take a look at it. Steam charts. Let's take a look at it. How is Dauntless on the Steam page? Damn, dude, 19%. Holy shit, dude. The skipping quest was a thing even before this update, but the only thing you could get out of it is just cosmetics, I think. Is it? Oh my. Oh, holy shit, dude. Oh my. Holy shit, dude. Well, apparently they just recently released it on Steam. Disapprove Veilguard. Shut the fuck up with your Veilguard.
They've said things like the paid weapons will eventually be available to everyone in time, but like, it's too little too late at that point. To that point, and not to continue to just compare Dauntless to Monster Hunter over and over again, but like, we've seen what happens to these style of games when the developers listen to feedback and implement what the players are saying. Like, we've just heard that the Monster Hunter Wilds full release will have a lot of changes from the beta because of feedback from the community. So like, it just sort of writes itself. Like, you have the example right there. It is insane, dude. And the primary issue is that this was supposed to be a relaunch. This was an opportunity to make good by the existing player base, as well as draw in a bunch of new players as well. But what they did do was screw over the existing players, which leads to them leaving negative reviews and shitting on the game, which then deters new players from even giving it a try in the first place. It's such a shame, dude. And then there's Project Dragon, and I would say don't get me started on Project Dragon, but I'm here making a video about it, so I'm gonna get started on Project Dragon. Officially called Everhaven, this was...
The Steam title says, "You game, bitch, if you don't fucking woke guard and improve your dress game." What the fuck are you talking about?
Set to be a grid-based crafting game drawing inspirations from a range of cozy titles, as well as Minecraft and Breath of the Wild. And it looked gorgeous. A few months after cancellation, all of the assets...
Whoa, these are all the concept arts for it? Deathhead Mega Buglin.
were released by the artists that made them, primarily Nicholas Cole, who were also fired as part of a round of layoffs that happened in May of this year. We got to see something that could have been a peek behind the curtain with a range of clever characters and...
Whoa, the great spirit of the inner lands. Oh, that's a pretty cool monster design.
Mounts and creep.
Oh, that is so cute. Look at the little snowman. Oh, these are so cute.
And environments. Hell, a playable demo exists. Or it existed at some point. We have footage of the character creator and just general gameplay. This game was in development for 4 years, pretty much since Dauntless launched. And to add insult to injury, it was only weeks away from its announcement and eventual early access when it was canned, as it was set to debut in the...
After years of work put into it, the team was very close to the finish line. The game was set to be revealed during the PC-centric showcase that coincided with the Summer Game Fest and was going to launch early access a few months after that. So technically, this game was supposed to come out this year. And so it would have came out in the final quarter of this year.
The Summer Game Fest 2024 highlight reel. There were some that tried to shop around for another investor and...
They went on to describe how Forte, the crypto VC firm that owns Phoenix Labs, was looking to divest itself from all-in development projects. But the Project Dragon devs were in the process of shopping in a game around to a couple dozen publishers and investors. Forte then cut the line short and laid the team off shortly thereafter. There were some efforts made after that to continue shopping the game around, but as I understand it, Forte squashed that as well.
Publisher, but that was squashed by Phoenix Labs' new and secretive owner, Fort, or Forte, or Fort Labs, whatever you want to call them. Thor from Pirate Software, the world's most wholesome game dev and that guy everybody knows from YouTube Shorts, even got involved with this and reached out to Fort to try and get the rights to the IP and launch the game with the resources he has available, but they just didn't respond to him.
It appears that they're not going to relinquish the IP for Project Dragon. After I found out about Project Dragon, I found that to be very, very compelling. Found out all the companies that were involved and reached out to those companies to see if there was a chance that we could obtain the IP, rehire some of the members of the team, and go forward with that game. Company never responded to us. In fact, they didn't respond to anybody.
This is a true
What the fuck? Are you serious? So they're just gonna hold the IP for no apparent reason? They're not even gonna do anything with it? Man, what an actual waste, to be honest. Literally, the game is basically done, you know? And, well, Lord of Behold, it's never gonna come out into the limelight. I thought personally it looked pretty cool, at least for the art style.
travesty, and we get a brief glimpse at today's real villain. All of this leads to the question, what the hell is happening at Phoenix Labs? The studio's output looks like this. They opened in 2014, released Dauntless in 2019, and released Fae Farm in 2023. Now, a decade with only 2 games to show for it isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially when one of them is a live service MMO. I mean, larger studios have done less with more. In 2021, Phoenix Labs was acquired by Garena, a Singapore-based publisher and developer, which allowed Garena to establish a more international presence and Phoenix Labs to continue their support of Dauntless and open up new development opportunities. At one point stating they were working on almost 10 projects in total across 4 locations. Seems like a pretty good problem to have. Pretty good spot to be in, but unfortunately, there would be dark times ahead. The studio would become independent once again in February of 2023 after a management buyout, which would then lead into them cutting almost 10% of their workforce in May of that year, with the stated goal of this round of layoffs being to focus on new releases. Things would unfortunately go from bad to worse when Jesse Houston, the co-founder and seemingly core moral compass of the entire organization, would step down in September and 23 more staff would be laid off in December. As the spiral continued at some unspecified time during 2023,
let me see. Sometimes in 2023, Forte Labs bought Phoenix Labs after it became independent from the Garena Games, itself a subsidiary of CLTD. According to 5 former workers who spoke to the game developers, all requested anonymity to speak freely, and given that the signed non-disclosure agreement as part of their severance packages, everyone at the studio was barred from revealing news of the purchase to anyone outside the company.
Phoenix Labs was acquired by the aforementioned company by the name of Fort. This acquisition was not publicized or announced in any way and only came to light in May of 24 when it was said to have occurred over a year prior, which you'll probably notice lines up pretty well with Phoenix Labs splitting from Garena. Now, what is the problem with having a parent company? Nothing. Inherently, a lot of smaller companies need larger companies to help keep the lights on so that they can continue to produce their product. But this particular parent company, Fort, is a venture capitalist, blockchain-focused company. Cryptocurrency strikes again. Following the acquisition, we got all of the previously mentioned layoffs, then more than 100 staff were laid off in May of 2024, all of the studio's in-development projects were cancelled, one of which was Project Dragon / Everhaven, and then we got a massive relaunch of Dauntless that is completely counter to the original game's vision, crushing equipment crafting, which is a core part of this style of game, implementing toxic monetization, and just all in all making for a miserable player experience. And I don't think all of this is a coincidence. And so there's not a whole lot left to say really. This is but one example of a hyper-capitalist, profit-maximizing company tearing apart a game studio at the seams, trying to nickel and dime their players for every cent they're worth, and decimating consumer confidence in their product while they do it. It's pretty rampant right now throughout the industry, but to me, this one stings in particular. Whilst I never got lost in the source of Dauntless, I could see that it was special, that it had a lot going for it. It has systems that are super intriguing, really interesting weapons and equipment, and most importantly, cool monsters. And Monster Hunter really lacks a good, healthy competitor. competitor. Furthermore, we rarely get
That is very true as well. Like it would be nice. It would be nice to have a competitor in the field itself. So then, like like don't get me wrong, right? Monster Hunter is really good, but competition is always really nice because that means they have to, they have to try harder to get your guys' attention and your money. I'm always okay with competition in the genre itself. Well, besides Nintendo trying to strike freaking Power World, but. And apparently they succeeded of taking away the mechanic of throwing a ball to release a creature.
Get a peek at a game that could have been like we did with Everhaven. Usually games live and die in some corporate office before the public ever gets a glimpse, but seeing something that so clearly looks like an awesome game to play and get lost in, and knowing that it likely will never see the light of day, is pretty devastating. And to think that it might get twisted into some blockchain, NFT crapfest of a game as well is even more devastating. Whether you like Dauntless or not, have ever heard about Fae Farm, or even care about Everhaven, this should be something you do care about, even if there's not a whole lot we can do to change it. If you enjoy good games and the artistry behind them, value the love and dedication put into their development, then remember that there were people behind these projects who had that passion and drive to deliver on them.
Who could be the first real contender to go toe-to-toe with Capcom by making the first? Okay. Alright, buddy. Okay. No, that's not happening, okay?
Even if the powers that be had other plans. And that's the real shame of this whole situation.
Dude, that's crazy. Basically how to fuck up your launch of a game, Yeah, I saw this one popped up, like this specific video right here. I saw it popped up and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, all right, I'll give it a try, I'll take a look at it and see how the video is, because I remember Dauntless. I played it a long time ago, initially on console when it was announced, and I think it was all right. It was pretty good. I didn't have no problem with it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't think it was amazing, right? But I personally never had a problem with the game itself. But unfortunately, well, it looks like Dauntless is might actually die. Actually, from the looks of the Steam charts, it definitely is not doing very well. No, dubstep, no. They were being bought out by a crypto chain company. Interesting. This is supposed to be a relaunch? Yeah, they launched it straight into oblivion. Yeah, I'm kind of interested who actually wanted to get rid of weapon crafting. But hey, it is what it is. But the new ER game may be that competitor for Monster Hunter Wilds. ER, I don't know what ER is. Are you talking about the Elden Ring? The Elden Ring one? Yeah, that was a pretty interesting video. Yeah, I saw it popped up and I kind of wanted to talk about it, specifically about the video. And yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how the mighty has fallen. I guess not really mighty, but like, I guess you could say like a beloved core audience, loving Dauntless, and well, Lord to behold, everything just got stripped away from them. But yeah, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff, and yeah, honestly, it's very crazy to hear the decision makings of Dauntless, and it kind of sucks. I feel like definitely Dauntless is probably not gonna last a very long time. Like, I had no problem with it. I don't mind competition in the actual genre space of the monster hunter, like the hunting of monsters genre. Like, I have no problem with it at all. But if you fuck it up like that, basically, and make things pay to win, well, Lord to behold, not really worth playing. But yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And